Welcome into the studio, everyone. I'm Carly Smith with Rob Washburn, and we're so thankful to be doing yet another week of 3 things to watch. I've got 2 words for you. December football. This is what you play for, an opportunity to take one step closer to the national title. Last week, we saw both Richmond and Delaware advance to the second round of the FCS playoffs. Our first thing to watch features a Delaware squad that pulled off a tremendous comeback victory over Lafayette last Saturday. The Hens were trailing 28-7 in the second quarter, but made some key plays on both sides of the ball to produce a 36-34 victory at Delaware Stadium. Now this week, Delaware will travel to take on number 2 Montana at Washington Grizzly Stadium. Montana claimed its 19th Big Sky championship after going 10-1 this season, and they're riding a 7-game win streak and bring one of the best defenses in the nation to the field on Saturday. Rob, what's your analysis?
Yeah, Carly, last week's game couldn't have started much worse for Delaware, which committed turnovers on 4 straight possessions and fell behind by 21 points. But credit the Blue Hens, and especially true freshman quarterback Nick Minicucci, for battling back. Making his first career start, Minicucci hit Joshua Youngblood with a 36-yard scoring pass to provide some momentum going into halftime, and then found tight end Braden Brose for a pair of scoring strikes in the fourth quarter to pull out the win. Along with the big plays in the passing game, Delaware was able to rush for over 200 yards as they got contributions from Joe Nathan Silfer, Quincy Watson, and Marcus Yarns. Blue Hens defense also stepped up, holding Lafayette to 90 yards in the second half while forcing 3 fumbles. Now, getting a total team effort will be even more important this week against an extremely tough opponent in Montana. The Grizzlies' defense is limiting opponents to just 14 points per game, and they've held their past 4 foes to 10 points or less. The offense averages 30 points per game and is extremely balanced, and if all that wasn't enough, Montana features one of the most passionate fan bases in FCS football. Delaware will need to get off to a quick start, quiet the crowd, and limit mistakes to pull off the upset.
Thanks, Rob. Let's hear what Delaware's Ryan Carty had to say prior to the matchup.
I mean, it's going to be an uphill battle for sure. I mean, they're one of the best defenses in the country, and when we're full strength, we're one of the best offenses in the country. So hopefully we can go out there and just kind of play our game of football.
This second round showdown will kick off at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Now on to our second thing to watch. Richmond has now won 7 in a row after an offensive explosion against North Carolina Central in the first round. The Spiders will now head north to face the 5th seed and conference opponent UAlbany on Saturday. Looking at the series history, Richmond is 7-0 all time against the Great Danes, but this UAlbany team is special. For the first time in program history, they won a share of the CAA championship and have gone a perfect 5-0 at home this season. The Great Danes lead the league in scoring defense, rushing defense, and sacks, but Richmond's right up there too. The Spiders lead the CAA in interceptions, rank 2nd in sacks, and are tied for 1st in the nation in defensive touchdowns. Stats are awesome. We love them, but on Saturday, anything can happen. Rob, what's your breakdown?
Yeah, Carly, well, since you've laid out the numbers associated with these 2 defenses, let's take a deeper dive into the 2 units that have a lot of similarities. For both teams, it starts up front with talented defensive lines that rank 1st and 2nd in the CAA against the run. When you can stop the run, that sets up the opportunity to get after the quarterback, and both of these teams are great at it, as the Great Danes have 42 sacks and the Spiders have 37. UAlbany ends Anton Junkic and A.J. Simon have combined for 23 sacks, and Richmond has 4 players with at least 4 sacks, led by Marlon Lewis with 7. Now, if you get past that front 4, you run into Richmond linebacker Tristan Wheeler and UAlbany linebacker Dylan Kelly, who both made over 100 tackles this season and are finalists for the Buck Buchanan Award as the top defensive player in the nation. And let's not forget the guys in the secondary. The Spiders have picked off 15 passes and taken 4 back for TDs, while the Great Danes have 14 interceptions and a pair of pick sixes. Now, all that being said, I'm not expecting a defensive struggle. Both Richmond and UAlbany have playmakers on offense, with the Spiders averaging nearly 37 points during their 7-game win streak, and the Great Danes averaging 35 over their 5-game streak. But reaching the end zone could be a lot more difficult on Saturday.
Great stuff. Let's hear from Richmond's Russ Huseman and our CAA Coach of the Year, UAlbany's Greg Gattuso, prior to kickoff.
When you have guys up front, you can bring 4-man pressure and cover people on the back end. It makes a big difference. And they've had that ability. They can rush the passer with 4. They've rushed the passer with 3. They're very athletic up front.
I'm not sure we've played anybody that I would say is more physical than Richmond. They're going to line up and punch in the face, and and try to dominate you physically. And, and they do a lot of things, a lot of tricks and different things to keep you off balance. So, they're good on how they play, and defensively they can rush the pass or they can stop the run.
Tune into this one Saturday at noon on ESPN+. Okay, our third thing to watch highlights a very talented Villanova team that's reached the playoffs for the third time in the last 5 years and captured a share of the CAA championship. The Wildcats, who are seeded 8th, will host Youngstown State on Saturday. Rob, this is a veteran Villanova team that plays really complete football. They have one of the nation's best in passing yards per completion in Connor Watkins. The Wildcats lead the CAA in total offense and defense. Youngstown State defeated Duquesne 40-7 in the first round after a dominating effort on both sides of the ball. Rob, would love to hear your thoughts prior to the matchup.
Yeah, both of these programs have a rich history in FCS football that includes winning a national championship, and this year's matchup should be a great one. As you mentioned, Villanova's defense has been outstanding in recent weeks, holding 5 of its last 6 opponents to 14 points or less, but I want to focus on the 2 offenses, which can attack you with the run or the pass. For the Wildcats, Connor Watkins has thrown 11 TD passes in his past 4 games and has averaged 267 yards through the air during that stretch with big play weapons Rajon Pringle, Jaron Hake, and Jalen Sanchez. But Villanova can also get it done on the ground with a 3-back attack led by Jalen Jackson that's combined for nearly 1,900 yards and 19 TDs. Now, Youngstown State features quarterback Mitch Davidson, who has passed for 2,800 yards and 21 touchdowns, with many of those going to Bryce Oliver, who's the Penguins' all-time leader in touchdown receptions. On the ground, Tyshawn King has piled up 995 yards and 9 touchdowns. Both of these teams average 32 points per game while playing in high-level conferences against great defenses. It'll be interesting to see which team can continue that success on Saturday.
Very interesting. Now let's listen to what Villanova's Mark Ferrante had to say prior to Saturday.
If you look at them statistically, I think we're very, very evenly matched. And they're aggressive. And they're a team that is going to be like playing one of the top level teams in our league week in and week out. I think it's going to be a very physical game.
You won't want to miss a moment of this one. Kickoff is set for noon on Saturday on ESPN+. As always, best of luck to everyone competing. And for results, recaps, and more, visit CAAfootball.com and follow along at CAA Football on social media.